So tonight we're going to be talking about tax benefits of an online business. Discover the secrets the tax man doesn't want you to know. So many are now familiar with the benefits of having an online business, including, of course, the freedom to work anytime and anywhere you want. However, few realize that there are also tangible and measurable benefits, such as getting tax breaks that are unique to having a home business. So in this webinar, you're going to discover some of the secrets the taxman doesn't want you to know and how you can take full advantage of them. So what you'll learn tonight is why an online business lowers your taxes, the benefits of having an online business, how you can take advantage of these tax benefits, plus much, much more. So tonight we have a very special guest, Maddie Pidell, and Maddie is a graduate from the University of Notre Dame. She also worked in nonprofit finance and accounting for 5 years before taking the leap into entrepreneurship. And while she loved her work, however, when she and her husband started their family, her priorities shifted and she needed an income source that had much more flexibility. So she started a home business in 2012, and of course, putting her knowledge to work, was able to get incredible tax refunds, as you can see the numbers here, and she has been able to refund over $5,000 every single year since, which is phenomenal. Not only that, Maddie loves helping people discover the freedom, lifestyle, and most of all, the financial and tax benefits of being a work-at-home entrepreneur. So Maddie, I just want to take a second here to welcome you and thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us tonight.
Thank you. It's definitely a privilege to be with you.
Excellent. All right. So I will let you take it. Oh, 1 second. Almost take it away. There. Now we can take it away.
Excellent. All right. Well, I was invited to share this overview tonight, and it really is going to be fast-paced. So buckle your seatbelts. We're going to try and cover as much as we can. I want you to just get a glimpse of the possibilities of what your home business ownership can provide for you. Now, let's keep in mind that this does not replace or represent formal tax advice in any way. You will need to consult a tax professional with your specific questions. And it's one of the things that I did in my first year, to really dive into some of these things in more in depth for your personal situation. So this will get you inspired and started, and then you'll want to go to your professional to finish off. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about why the IRS loves small businesses and why we are so good for the economy. And this will play into some of the tax benefits that you might not know about. Next slide. So employees really don't have to worry about many of the aspects of keeping a business alive. So they get taxed according to a straight line income bracket approach. Someone said I'm breaking up. Is that the case for other people?
You're sounding good on my end, Maddie.
Okay, sounds good. So business owners are concerned with growing a business and generating profits. They have expenses related to business. So the IRS understands that and allows business owners to put their the deductions and to focus on all the things that go into the expenses behind running a business before they're paid out. I need to close down the chat because it's actually interfering with my slides. Startup year. So in the first year of business, did you know that you are allowed a $5,000 deduction for startup costs and $5,000 for operating? The IRS understands, as we all do, that so much work and expense goes into getting your business off the ground. Next slide. So here's some ways that you know you're eligible for your home business deductions. One is have a profit intent. Now, understand what the word intent. The IRS wants to incentivize us to start a home business. So we need to be honestly trying to make a profit. But obviously, they know and we know that it may take an amount of time, a reasonable amount of time, to actually show those profits. Next slide. Work your business on a consistent and regular basis. This is important because the IRS wants to see that this business is something that is viable and can be grown and potentially create income that can serve others, and you can hire folks in the future. You could ramp it up to full time. They want to see that this is a serious business that you're working consistently. Next. And just like anything with the IRS, we need to take our part-time business, no matter how small it feels right now, to very seriously and keep detailed records. And with these things in place, you can qualify for your boatload of new additional tax deductions. So section 2, the common business deductions you can track and claim each year. Now, this is where you need to get excited. And if you want, you can take notes, but you might also want to just grab the recording because there's a lot here. So you have your mortgage interest or your rent. You have your gas, electrical, water, and sewer, everything related to your home office. You have anything related to cleaning for your office. You have computers, copiers, printers, fax machines, telephones. You know that you need these for your business. The IRS knows that too. Advertising costs. Now, in our day and age, that it can include Facebook marketing costs, Facebook ads, things like that. That's all part of growing your business and showing that you exist. Paper, pens, postage, bank fees on business accounts. This is exciting. Desks, sofas, coffee tables, and furniture for your home office. If you decide you don't want to upgrade any of it, the IRS will give you a break. So business cards, most of you probably use a separate credit card for your business. Depreciation on equipment, we'll talk about this in detail. Painting, maintenance, and other repairs. Specifically, we should be clear that that needs to be tied into your actual home office. It's not just like, if you paint the whole outside of your house, you can take a small percentage related to your home office, but it's not going to just be anytime you do anything around the house. Legal, professional services, phone, utility bills, cell phones, we'll go into all this. This just gives you a sense of what's possible and what you might be missing. In the sense that you're doing this, you're spending this money anyway, and you just might not be itemizing it and claiming it. So the last one, services provided by independent contractors, is actually really important as well, because there are things that we need to outsource. Maybe you have a virtual assistant. Maybe you outsource some of your branding, your website, any of those things. So keep track of that as well and know that you can get a deduction. Next, what you can't claim. Personal groceries. And this can be clarified because we do sometimes have business events in our home that require us to, say, get a bunch of supplies from the grocery store. Now, if you are doing that, you need to just separate out those costs and save that receipt. Make it very clear that it's not just for you to survive, to eat, feed the family. Next, landline base costs. Honestly, I don't know how many people even have landlines anymore, but if you do, you can claim, you can have one dedicated to your office and have it be an office phone. But if it's your landline in your home, then you need to just let that be for your personal. Cell phones we'll talk about later, so go ahead. There are some tips and tricks I'll just throw in here for you. You just want to be thinking about when someone looks at your information, does it make sense? Is it logical for you to split things up and say, for my utilities bills, it has to tie into whatever percentage of your home you're claiming as your office. And we'll get into that a little later, but I want you to just think about when it comes to my mobile phone bill, you would say 50% of the mobile phone bill could be for business based on, generally your usage. 50% could be of your computer or laptop use. And maybe it's 100%. Maybe you're at the point where you have a dedicated computer that you only want to claim and use. Or maybe it's easier to just have 2 different mobile phone bills. That's up to you to decide where your business is at, what level you're at. But the point is that if someone is looking at this, your detailed documents, they want to be able to understand the rationale that you're using. Next. Home office deductions. That's a whole nother section we have to go into. So the second point, meals and entertainment is interesting. And this is something I learned that first year with sitting with my CPA. Because the IRS knows meals and entertainment is such a fluid, it's so hard to pin down and say, I went to this club, I was with this person, and we talked business. How can they prove that this $500, bill was specifically for business, right? So the IRS just automatically cuts in half everything that you want to claim for meals and entertainment. And we know that the reality is a lot of times, yes, when I'm going out to coffee or if I'm planning an event or doing a trip, there's a business purpose to it. So you just need to keep track of those things well. The details are very helpful, writing down who you met with and keeping those receipts. I have an app that I'd recommend for saving those quickly into a digital file, because that will make it a lot easier than just having a bunch of paper receipts. Someone says they don't allow meals and entertainment anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still the same rationale. It's like they allow you to put in, because I was just working on mine. They allow you to put in meals and entertainment, but just know that whatever amount you put in, it'll be slashed in half, because they just assume that people are going to over claim this portion. So I'm telling you, go ahead, over claim and see what happens, and let them cut it in half for you. Next, please. The home office deduction, the power of operating business from your home. So here you're going to do exactly what I said with the other things. Make a very clear calculation of your office space. Go ahead and even take photos. I'm actually very strategic now. I have a new home. I purposefully have one of my larger rooms as my home office. I have photos that I can show, okay, 10% of my 2,500 square foot home is my home office. And here's the photos and here's the setup, right? So then that allows you to go in and do the calculated percentage of all your other mortgage, rent, utilities, internet, all that stuff. I think that's clear, right? The note about assets related to your home business. I mean, some of you might have a separate structure on your property, which is your business. It's great the more that you can substantiate that this is a specific single-use space. Note about assets. So you get to decide whether you want to depreciate them over I think it's 5-year period, or whether you want to write them over. I cannot speak slower because I'm trying to cover so much. I'm sorry. But you'll have a recording, so you can take your time with this later. Next, please. Sorry about that. These are direct expenses: computers, printers, desks, chairs, filing cabinets. Some assets are going to be multi-use. My printer, I use it for personal and business, so do the same thing, the reasonable calculation. For the depreciation, it's 5 years for electronics, 7 years for furniture, home repairs, etc. So say you were to go in and renovate your whole home office space. That would be, you could take those costs and spread them out over 7 years in terms of taxes. Okay, next, car related. Okay, probably many of you used a car, maybe less in 2020 than usual for your business. You have 2 options. You can do the standard mileage rate using a vehicle log to determine your total business miles, multiplying it by the standard rate. I don't have that handy, but you can quickly look it up. Or you can also do your vehicle operating costs. You can look at your operating costs for the year. This is how I do it. Look at your real costs for the year and determine how much was business use and claim that amount. Basically, the standard mileage rate is kind of assuming that someone says it's 0.56. They assume that there's a certain amount of times your car is going to go into the shop, wear and tear, the cost of gas per mile across cars. So if you want to use your real expenses, you can do it. But it does take tracking. So there's apps that are fantastic for this. And next slide, please. Yeah, I know. There's one called Mileage IQ that I really recommend, which is an app that just, if you're doing a business related trip, you just turn on your GPS in the app, it tracks the trip, saves it, and then at the end of the year, you have all of your trips that are related. And you can just literally go in and be like, this is how many miles I drove. And you can obviously kind of estimate, right? But that's a really nice way to have the substantiation. Business errands are combined with personal errands. You can write them off. And should I track with a mileage log? You should. They always say that you should. And they say that this is something that, it's important to substantiate it. Obviously, for some people, their car payments are paid for by their business, which is awesome, right? But obviously, all these things can add up. So That's why I recommend this phone app. And even for gas receipts that you have, you can upload them to an app called Expense Manager, which is what I recommend for receipts. And you can save everything in one place. Next, please. Travel, meals, and entertainment. I think there's going to be some questions about this. This is important because, well, I talked about some of this stuff before. Business lunches, theater tickets, golf days. There's a lot of things that are going to be, you have to substantiate that it was business related. It might just look like entertainment for yourself. And so you're going to want to have a way of keeping track on the receipt. And you're going to want to note who was with, just any details that will help your record keeping. And here you go. You're going to want as much detail as you can put. And the pro tip for you guys is to find business partners in places where you want to travel, because I have taken trips places that I wanted to go to help launch businesses to friends. And it's a good way to think about things when you have this awareness. My husband and I definitely talk about, we always plan our trips based on tax deductions for both of our businesses. Next, please. When we can travel again freely, right? This is all to be. Section 6, planning for tax success in your business. Now, I think this is the part that so many people struggle, because they'll get to this time of year and they're reacting and they're like, okay, struggle, gather the paper, figure this out, remember stuff. And in reality, you just want to set it up so that it runs smoothly from day one and be ahead of the game. So make a plan when you're budgeting for your business. Which trip, supplies, items are tax deductible? Think about it going into it. Write off things like team dinners, other events, plan, specifically be like, I'm going to spend money in this area because I know I can write it off. Be strategic. Go ahead and the next slide. This is pretty obvious. I think many people do this, but if you're starting out, maybe you haven't taken the leap yet. So the more that everything's separate accounts and credit cards and stuff, it's easier. And I mentioned some apps. And I think that that's going to probably help many of you, because some of this stuff is just you just don't want to be constantly dealing with paper. So apps can help. And if you do have those receipts, like I said, you can upload them into an app called Expense Manager. QuickBooks for Small Business has the feature of tying in directly to TurboTax. If you're in the business of trying to figure out, how do I make all this make sense? I personally use Mint as well, which is also in the TurboTax Intuit family. And it has great features for tagging things. I can tag all my expenses related to specific business activities, and I can run reports on it. And I can even upload. It's just really good for tax time. So look into something like that if you don't have it already, or TurboTax if you're running sort of a more complex. Next, please.
That's awesome. That brought us to the end.
Great.
Awesome, Maddie. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry I had to go so fast, but I wanted to get through it all. And also, mint.com is awesome. Highly recommend that. And I wanted to just, mention that I am working on an e-course on this subject. So if you felt I could really spend hours talking through this stuff, you can actually just hop on my email list on my website, maddiepeidel.com, and you'll get information about that course when it comes out, because I wanted to break it down and make it so easy so that you can feel really empowered this time of year. Mm-hmm. I created spreadsheets and everything, exactly what I use, just so that you can go in and say, okay, I have all these tools. So if that's helpful, it's going to be there.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much, Maddie. And, I got to say, I know for a lot of you who are listening, this may have been just a quick whirlwind, but the idea of this is that we wanted to share with people who may not understand the tax advantages that are available for a home business, which is why we didn't get into super detail. It's just a matter of knowing. And then, of course, as Maddie says, she has her course that you can definitely check in for her e-course and get a little bit more detailed. If you're starting an online business or looking to start an online business, what do you need to do? And Maddie, I just got to say something very cool that I never thought of until you mentioned it, which was planning out your spending. And if you're not spending in a place where you can write it off, that you should be planning your spending in that way. So can you just share a little bit about how in your hubby do that?
Yeah. So I guess for me, a lot of it is, we know we're in a health and wellness business. So even something for me, my gym membership, our like taking care of ourselves, buying our own products, all these things. There's a certain amount that we can write off each month, and just being aware of that and budgeting, like I said, kind of budgeting according to those areas where you're going to get the advantages. Mm-hmm. And obviously travel is a big one for me, but right now we're limited in that way, right? But normally you could look at your year and you could plan specific trips, and you could always say, this is where I want to go for personal reasons, but I'm also going to make sure that there's a business aspect to it. So something for the future when, we're all doing that. Yes, the apps that I mentioned was MileIQ is one of them. Mint.com is the website that I recommend. Some people use TaxBot. There's a bunch of different ones out there. I think the point is it has to be something that you enjoy opening the app, and it's simple and easy to use. The one I will put in here is called Expense Manager. And this is the one that you can upload receipts to it and sort of tag them. And it makes it really easy to have those digital copies rather than a million receipts that you're dealing with at the end of the year. So I don't know if that answered the question fully, Kristen. I mean, I think
No, I think that answered it very, very well, because I think a lot of us, we don't think about how can we make this work for business, and how can we bring more that we're spending more on business so we can get a better tax refund.
Yeah,
definitely. And there's so many things that we don't think about. Yeah.
Definitely invest in some fun furniture, make your home office look awesome and feel good about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to work in there. You might as well make it feel nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Exactly. No, I think this is absolutely fantastic. So I just wanted to put this out there. I know Maddie's going to duck off a little bit early with us because she's got to get ready for another webinar. I think she's got 2 minutes. And so before you go, Maddie, I just want to thank you so much for coming and sharing that knowledge. It's so nice to hear this every year at this time, because there's so many people who are thinking about it. How can they get more back on their tax return? And even if you're just working a part-time business, it's incredibly beneficial if you're working as an employee to get more back. So thank you so much. Any final words you want to add before you go?
No, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on, and good luck. I hope all of you can stop dreading tax season and start really enjoying it.
Yes, especially when you realize how much you can actually put into that bucket, what you can spend money on so that you can get a better tax return each year. I think makes it a lot more exciting. It's not so dreadful.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to share my screen and we'll close it off. So here we go. So if you are checking into this and you want to maybe look at what kind of business you could start to start getting better tax returns each year so that you can start investing into a business, because it is better for the economy. If you think about how you invest your money, when you can invest it into a business and get tax breaks on it, it really does make a big boost, not only for your wallet, but also for the community around you. So if you'd like to learn how you can start experiencing the benefits and becoming an online entrepreneur from home, I'd like to invite you to take a free, no-risk tour of our business center, where you can explore the opportunity to get ahead with an online business that you can run from your laptop and your smartphone from your home. That's the critical piece. So in this tour, you'll discover the market that is experiencing phenomenal growth worldwide, the high quality consumable products our customers buy from us online, how you can create sales without selling, our 60-year-old supplier that we've partnered with and the business model, our competitive advantage or our secret sauce, the fabulous benefits like expense paid travel, tax benefits, income, flexibility, security, so much more, how you can do it in your spare time, and of course, how you can do it on a budget. So with that, I just want to thank you all so much for being here tonight.